Well, thank you, Oshin, for such an enthusiastic welcoming. It's great to be, preceded for such a kind of encouraging, emotional words. Well, and thanks the audience for being here. I hope that all of you know about the brands of the people that I'm actually here with, because we are going to be talking in a very engaging way, and hopefully we'll ask you to participate as well at the end. So, as Oshin said, I'm here with Daniel Fletcher. He's the Chief Innovation Corporate Development at Primavera Sound. And Primavera Sound just closed this weekend a huge event in Barcelona with nearly 300,000 people, around 270,000. So what's that about? What's the experience? What's the Phygital experience about that? We'll talk about that in a minute. And then also with Rocío Trujillo, she's the Regional General Manager of Spain and Portugal at Fever. And I think that Fever is a company that we are all looking at with lots of excitement to see what's to come. Because they are not just a ticket agency, a ticket company, they are much more. And I think that the innovation and technology and the Phygital are very much at the core of what they do. So she's going to be telling us about that as well. Okay, so let's put ourselves a little bit into the context of what this is all about. We wanted to talk about Phygital in the context of the experience of music, because music is something that took a lot of importance in our lives when we were during COVID times. We were missing lots of company of other people, and we also resorted to music to provide us with emotions, with some sort of feelings. And lots of events took place in this called sort of incipient metaverse or Web3, with lots of exploration and innovative initiatives. So we are going to talk a little bit about what's from there to now and what kind of legacy has that given us. So I'm going to start asking my fellow panelists, how is Phygital, this mixture of the digital and the physical, how is the physical and the possibilities of this Phygital affecting very much what traditional performing music, live music, is all about? Are the differences between performers and consumers or spectators still relevant? Rocío.
Thank you so much, Maria. Cristina. Well, Phygital is fundamentally changing the scope of music as an entertainment space. We believe at Fever that the experience today is end-to-end from the moment, or has to be end-to-end, engaging the spectators and the audience from the moment they hear about a potential experience they want to participate in or go to, until the moment that the experience finishes, and they engage again with the fan base of those who were there. So Phygital is expanding the experience throughout the weeks and the months, prior and post events. Yeah. And that is, I would say, changing consumers from consumers to, what was the word that we were using the last time?
Experiencers.
Experiencers, yeah. When we were preparing this, we talked about experiencers. Who are experiencers then? Who are the experiencers? Who are the, how would you describe them?
Do you want to go? I would say anyone who likes music, they should change, or we should all, hopefully we all here like music, and we should all change our expectations from a more of a user experience into an experiencer, because we want more from anything music related, not only the act of hearing the music, right?
And adding to what Rocío just said, and just to give a few hints about the current state of affairs in the context of live music and digital technologies, I would like to give three headlines.
Okay.
One, even during the pandemic, there was an acceleration in testing different business models around virtual music experiences. And the result of that is that, as of now, I could say, or I would say that there is no viable business model for virtual music experiences, purely digital and virtual music experiences. Why is that? We could discuss many different aspects. For example, the structure of the music industry, how music rights are managed, maybe the technology or how the experiences, these digital experiences were designed were not that compelling, or couldn't really compete or compare to what a physical live music event can give you. But this doesn't mean that this intent to build digital music experiences has totally disappeared. Now there are new approaches to testing business models around the concept of the super fan that maybe we could.
We are going to go back to the super fan
that later. But I would say that we can learn from other cultural industries, and this would be the second headline. And that is that there are immersive physical plus digital experiences that are being very successful in other cultural industries. For example, in art, who would say that attending an exhibition of Dalí where there are not actual real works from Dalí could sell out and could be a success. And we have many examples of these exhibitions around art that are with an immersive approach that don't really exhibit actual work or original work, but I think that can bring many interesting ideas to the table for live music. And the third headline is what just Rocío mentioned. In live music events, we have a lot of room to improve in creating that big space that conforms the customer journey of live music event attendee, that comes from inspiration, from the moment of inspiration, all these interactions before the actual physical event. Most of them are digital. Then the physical event can be a hybrid experience as well, with some physical interactions and digital interactions as well. And as Rocío mentioned, afterwards, engaging again the attendees. And that builds a whole space that is hybrid in some way.
Okay, so you're giving us three headlines, but the big one is the first one. There is no viable, available model of digital music at the moment. Okay, maybe we can challenge that. But one thing that I wanted to ask you is, you've been describing pretty much the whole kind of customer journey of the pre-event, then during the event, post-event, and maybe lots of things can be improved throughout. I'm coming from the School of Architecture and Design, and we train people who are actually professionals who deal with the built environment mostly, but also are increasingly working in designing spaces for immersive virtual environments. What are the requirements you think that those spaces, those new spaces, whether virtual or physical, are demanding? How would you describe what it's actually require? And I know that we are talking about a range of different events, but if you had to kind of summarize some features which could be common, Rocío, what would you say?
Let me start here, but I'm sure Daniel can also chip in. From a physical perspective, I guess there are no requirements whatsoever. A phygital experience could potentially adapt to any space, right? But that said, a phygital experience always requires a digital space. So we need to make sure that both spaces talk to each other, they're seamlessly integrated, and that our users know that they can experience what they came to experience online and offline. What do you think, Daniel?
I totally agree with that, and that gives us very interesting opportunities, such as repurposing spaces or buildings just for pop-up immersive events, for example. And we've seen how, for example, the transformation of part of the business model of IFEMA in Madrid, this large congress space that gradually has moved to from corporate or consumer events to exhibitions, immersive exhibitions, and live shows. So I think there's a great opportunity, and as Rocío mentioned, if you have a well-defined, a solid digital space, the physical space can be anywhere.
Okay, so it's more about maybe challenging even the difference or the boundaries between digital and physical, and basically everybody has to do both, pretty much, or think of both. And this is interesting when we talk about interior design, for instance, but that's another conversation. I was interested in something that you mentioned, this idea of the superfan. Who is the superfan? Is it something related to the experiencer? Because the superfan was the one that companies such as yourselves relied on. And before I was in a talk about community in relation to video games and how community was very important, and how would you describe the role of the superfan? Who is the superfan?
In our case at Fever, we believe the superfan is anyone who actually engaged into prior experiences. So, for example, we use data from fans who want to participate in some of our musical experiences to decide what the lineup would be and what the cabeza de cartel.
Headliner?
Exactly, the headliner would be. So the superfan to me is someone who's also participating in shaping the experience. And then from our side, we need to be analytical enough to understand the data, to understand what the fans and the users want to, and then take it back to producers and promoters so that they can shape the experience accordingly.
But they are willingly, doing so willingly, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I agree. This concept of superfan, which still needs to be perfectly defined, and you can find definitions from different perspectives. But in general, it's someone who's willing to engage more with the event or the artist, or and maybe even spend or is willing to pay for content created by the artist that is not generally or publicly available. But there are many different approaches of this superfan concept. So that's why many of the business models that are being tested or developed now rely on the concept or the idea that, we tested creating purely digital content and trying to charge a fee for that, and maybe putting aside the music streaming platforms, these live music events that were tested during the pandemic in the digital world didn't work or couldn't scale up as expected. So instead of going to looking for a massive audience, maybe let's look for this fan that is willing to pay an extra to access content that the general public won't be able to access.
So it's somebody who will be used to gather data, but also who will be able to get, like extra content or extra services, if you want. So they are like a groupie in the virtual world.
More or less, if you want to define it that way, that could be an example. Someone who's willing to engage a bit more than the.
And how do you kind of equate that with the creator economy? We were also before in a panel. They were talking about and you were talking about there is no barrier so much anymore between. Well, there is, but there are new barriers between the difference of a performer and an audience or the spectator. Increasingly, there are people who are actually consumers or spectators, and also creators and performers. When we're talking about this idea of the superfan, is it somebody who is also creating content for the show, for the event? Could be that as well.
Sure, indeed. For example, I recall we have this experience, or we developed this experience at Fever called Magnetic Flow, and it was shaped by what the audience wanted to see. So we changed the visuals, we changed the VR, we changed, actually, the full experience changed month on month accordingly to what the users were telling us. So sure.
Yeah,
Totally.
all these digital technologies put in service to immersive experiences. You can do very, very interesting things, as Rocío mentioned. Just shape the experience to the interactions of the attendees. So.
Okay, so when we're talking about the phygital experience of music, and the way there is also an aspect, which is the management of the company, the companies in which you are. Has it actually had any impact? Have you created any new tools to adapt to this? And if so, which ones? Rocío, could you describe?
Well, in our case, Daniel was mentioning at the very beginning how we're a little bit more evolved into the phygital experience from an art perspective. This is precisely the initial moment, or how Fever was born, or one of the first things that we did. And we were born digital already, from the very beginning. And I would say we need to adapt to that. All our organization, the structure, the people that we hire has to have this creative side, but also we need to make sure that people are digital savvy. They know how to use data. They know how to deep dive. They know, we were talking about this the other day, they know which questions to ask, which is even the most important thing. So I would say Fever from our side, I want to hear about you, but we're born to be digital and physical at the same time.
So when you look at talent, when you look for talent, how do you find them? I mean, because looking for people who know which questions to ask is a difficult one for the recruitment agents. So are there any particular skills, training that you are particularly looking for? Are you age conscious? Not? I mean,
not at all. Not at all. We're agnostic as to age or nationality.
Excellent.
Nothing at all. I think we have 2,000 people working at Fever today, and many different ages, and I think we have like 25 different nationalities. But we look for people who have ownership. We look for people who have this grasp, a little bit of a business sense, but also these that can compensate, as we were saying before, the analytical side and the creative side of the business.
Great. Daniel, I believe that you created within your organization some new creative agency. Could you describe why and what purpose that serves?
Yeah, and at some point, and that was in 2018, we wanted to improve two things. One is how our sponsors, the brands that works and partner with us, manage to get the results they expect, or the return they expect by the partnership with us. But we usually had an issue in understanding what their expectations were, and that was because they allocated a part of the budget to the sponsorship, and then another part of the budget to activating on site. And we didn't have any visibility about that part of the budget they used to activate on site. The result of that is that we didn't have the tools or the knowledge of what they expected to get in return and what the overall budget was. And also, we wanted to improve the experience on site. And not only on site, also throughout the customer journey. All these interaction moments and points that we commented before. So we built this creative agency, which now manages the whole budget of our sponsors. So we can tailor the activation and the relationship with Primavera Sound to meet those expectations. And maybe not only spend everything on an on-site activation, but have a broader relationship or a longer relationship months in advance of the festival and after the festival by creating content and designing communication strategies. Once we tested that this worked and that the feedback from our sponsors was great, and we started improving things around our creative agency. For example, improving the experience on site and improving all these interactions. We have built tools, but we still have a lot of room.
A long way to go.
To improve, yeah.
And on that, we have very little time, but I didn't want to leave the elephant in the room, which is the musicians, the music itself. How is that evolving? And our kind of artists who are the same, I mean, we are having more and more, we talk about the creator economy. There is a much more democratic process to identify artists and performers. But are people actually adapting well to this new world of digital? Is that a challenge? How do you see the future of the music business? It's a big one.
That
should be our ending piece.
That's a big question. I would say, hopefully, we see they are adapting, or at least the type of music artists that we work with at Fever, they are more and more creating those ecosystems and delving into those ecosystems where their fans are expecting them and their fans are waiting for them. So I can only see an exciting time ahead.
I rightly believe so. And I will give you a quote from a famous talent agent from the US who said, before we made tours to promote our records, now we make records to promote our tours. Exactly. And that means that we are in a moment of change. Musicians and artists need to find new revenue streams, and all these barriers the industry has shouldn't hinder innovation.
Okay, so I think on that headline as well, we'll want to give you a thank you to Rocío and to Daniel, and thank you the audience, and thank you, Oisin. Thank you very much.
Big round.